Hey guys, me the Big B again. This time a little video on me Ps3 jailbreaking. I posted the video a week ago saying that it was possible to do the jailbreak with GeoHot. Well, now I've actually getting hold of an old fat PlayStation, one of the original ones actually, the backwardly compatible ones, one of the originals. Now I had initially used GeoHot's jailbreak to jailbreak, but as GeoHot promised, he didn't put anything in there to condone piracy. All his jailbreak allowed you to do was install packages. So it allowed you to install the backup loaders, install PlayStation Network downloaded games, but when it come to running your backups that you made through the backup loader, they won't run. Now someone brought a level 2 patcher out, which was a little program that you install and you run just before you run your backup loader, and it patches certain things and supposed to make it run. But under GeoHot, I couldn't get it to run. The actual level patch it would install, but it wouldn't run properly. Now under GeoHot you can get full games, and what they do is it's a little bit more of a mess on. What you've got to do is they come with a package file that you install, and it goes into like as if you'd installed a PlayStation Network game, and then you've got to copy certain data yourself, the user file out of the snapshot, the game you've downloaded or backed up, into a certain folder on the hard drive. You've got to do it yourself and thing. It's not hard, but it's a chore. So what I did, there's a new firmware came out, which was a total replacement firmware. It was ready patched for you. And I can't pronounce the guy's name. Why they use some of these stupid names, I don't know. But the guy's name, if you bear with me 2 seconds, it's KMEAW. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's his custom firmware, and it's on PS Groove. And there's a whole section. It's a tutorial on how to install his firmware with no brick and backups plus PlayStation Network. Now his has been modified so it has certain things installed as well that do allow backups to play. Now initially you still had to run that level 2 patching thing, that little program you installed, to allow the backup loader to load the backups, which did work. I mean, it works beautiful, and wasn't too much of a hassle. Just booting that first, and you only have to do it once. And if you turn the machine off completely and then turn it back on so it loses power, then you have to rerun the patch. But if you just quicking backwards and forwards between the loaders and games, it's fine. You only have to do it the once. But someone's updated Multiman, or should someone, the guys who actually wrote it, so it has this patcher built in, so you don't have to run that. You just basically boot your PlayStation up, run Multiman, the backup launcher, pick your game, off you go. Which is fine. It has locked up a couple of times on us, because it's all brand new. I mean, they've just updated it, they've just done it, and they did it within a day, so it was quick. So it will get more and more stable. But I mean, I've been playing backups fine, no problem. The way it works is, with the backup launchers, you must have an original game in the DVD player, on the Blu-ray player. Doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't care as long as it's an original. And what it does, obviously, when you put that in, it will show up on the desktop where your DVD would normally show up, and it'll be that said game, like say, well, I don't know, Call of Duty. And what you do is then you run your loader and you pick whichever game you want, say Star Wars, and when you run it, it boots back out to the desktop, and when you scroll up to where the DVD should be, instead of being Call of Duty that's in the drive, it hooks it and it makes it think that it's Star Wars. So when you run it, as far as the PlayStation is concerned, that there is the game that's in the DVD drive, even though it's not, and it just runs, and it tricks it into running, thinking that it's in the DVD drive. That simple. The only slight drawback I've seen to that is PlayStation 3 people will be aware that if you put a PlayStation game in, sometimes the game wants to install to the hard drive, obviously to make accessing the game data quicker or whatever, so it'll install a large chunk of the data from the Blu-ray or the DVD onto the drive. Now when you do this, I did Legendary, 7 gigabytes, transferred it down FTP'd it down to the drive, took up 7 gigabytes. That's a fake, basically, snap of the Blu-ray and the data that was on it on the drive. And now when I run that, as far as the PlayStation is concerned, it's the real Blu-ray that's in the drive itself. And when it ran, it says we're going to copy some data or a large chunk of data to your hard drive to think of that accident. So it installs again. So technically, it's on twice, but that's just the way it is. You can't do it any other way at the minute because the game wants to install. It thinks it's already in the Blu-ray player, so all that means is the 7 gigabytes is now taking up more like double, especially if it's actually done a full copy of the game to the hard drive. Which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. As far as the PlayStation is concerned, it doesn't know any different. It thinks you've just got the original DVD. It doesn't realise you've got a huge lump of data there that's pretending to be the DVD. But that's why some guys are putting like 500 gigabyte or even a terabyte hard drive onto the thing, or they use an external terabyte hard drive. In that instance, it could install itself 3 times for all I care, as long as I can play it. So that bit's fine. But just be aware that GeoHot's jailbreak, which is dead easy to put on, amazing easy, will not allow you to play backups. If you read all the readmes and about his court case that's coming up with that, he did not put anything in, as far as he was concerned, that would allow piracy. It was just to allow homebrew to run. Put this firmware on, you're fine. Now, this firmware, it's got a couple of things that on the website. If you go to PS Groove, you can find it. What it is you've got to have the original firmware, 3.55 firmware, and there's a little program you download, and you've got to do like a couple of things, a little command prompt. It tells you what to do, and it patches the original firmware for you then to flash on. But if you go down to the comments underneath, and I think it's on page 3 of the comments near the bottom, someone's actually put a mega upload link to an already done and patched firmware, which is the one I got, the one I personally used. I'm not going to put a link to it because it's kind of like illegal at the minute, and putting links to firmwares is not a good idea necessarily unless you're brave, and I'm not taking the chance. But I've told you where it's at, and it's about 170 meg. It's basically the same size as the original update you download from Sony. So what you do, you must make sure you're on 3.55 firmware, the official, the real thing. You can download that from Sony and put it on via memory stick. That's what I did, or whatever. Just get it on there. It must be genuine 3.55. Then you've got to boot into recovery mode, because if you just try and put then on the modified one at the memory stick, it says you've already got 3.55 on. So what's the point? You've got to boot into recovery mode and then install it via that, and it will install it over the top. And then you've got your package installer icon on there and things, and you're ready to go. You're basically off. Once that's done, you're rocking. But just be aware that I'm telling you that you can do this, and I've told you PS Groove where to go and a little bit about what to do, but please be aware there is a small inherent risk that you could brick your PlayStation. Now, there was a firmware came out by one in Coco, or whatever you call them, and that's on that website as well, but that bricked a lot of machines. Do not use that one. Use the one I've told you about. Couldn't pronounce it, but I spelt his name, and it's plain on PS Groove website. But even with this, there is a small inherent risk you could brick it. Now, I've done it fine. I've done GeoHots, and I've done this one. It worked fine. And there's not any posts that I can see that have said this one out that I've used has caused any problems. But it's like anything. There's people bricked the PlayStations just by doing the GeoHot one, which was actually child-proof. Anyone can do it. You must follow the instructions to the letter. And even if you do that, there is still that small little risk. So, listen, I'm not telling you to do it. If you do it and something goes wrong and your machine's bricked, it's not my fault. You know what I mean? I don't want any posts on me saying, my God, you've bricked my machine with your advice. I'm not advising you to do it. I'm telling you what I've done, and I'm telling you where you can go to get it if you want to do it. But even when I pressed that button to go, when I went into recovery mode, my heart was in my mouth, because there was that risk. But everything went fine, everything went good. And I'm using one of the oldest PlayStations there is. It was one of the originals that came out, the fat ones, the PlayStation 3s. And it's worked fine. It was the 60 gigabyte model. Some people have said the 60 gigabyte model was a bit of a dodgy one and it bricked some of them. But I haven't had that thinged, and if mine's one of the original oldest you can get, you should be fine on anything else. But, you know, just before you press go and before you press the button to say I accept, just have that in your mind, you know what I mean, especially if you're doing it on a brand new slim version or whatever that's cost you 250 quid. Just think about it. But apart from the risk, it's worth it. I'm playing backups, I can rip games, original games, straight to the drive, I can download them, and then I can FTP them down the network, straight onto the drive. It's child's play, and it's really cool. I've gotten some PlayStation Network games, the ones you normally buy off the network. Again, if you go to certain torrent sites, they're there. Installing them was a breeze. They're just a self-installing package file. You just put them on a FAT32 memory stick onto the root, plug it in, press install package thing on your that you'll have when you jailbreak it on your game menu, and you just lists what's on your memory stick. You press the one you want, it installs, and it's there just as if you downloaded it from the PlayStation Network. And I must have about 15 of them on, and they work flawless. They work brilliant, and they will work under GeoHot's jailbreak as well. Them ones do work. It's just like I say, the backup loader you're going to have a lot of trouble with. But I'm very impressed with it. The speed the guys is doing things and getting stuff working is phenomenal. They're going at a hell of a pace. Things is updating at a phenomenal rate. Like I said, this level 2 little patch program you had to run, then the next day they built it into one of the loaders so you didn't have to run it, and then the next day they're doing something else, and it's progressing really fast. The only issue I've got is the size of some of the downloads. I was looking at some of the games, and these are like 17 gigabytes to download, and then you've got to transfer that. You could do it via external hard drive, but at the minute I'm just FTPing them, and that can take 2 or 3 hours just to FTP them down the network to the drive. But I suppose, again, if it means you get the game, you know, it's not too much of a hardship. Just set it, go and walk away, leave it, come back later. There's your game waiting for you. So I'm going to leave it there, guys, because we're coming up to the 12-minute mark. I don't want to make this too long. In my next video, I will take some video of the actual things I have on there, a little bit more of explanation how it works. I'll show you me emulators, I'll show you multi-man running, show you how a backup loads and things like that, and just give as much advice and information as I can. If you've got any questions about it, please drop us a comment, but please be aware I won't be putting any links to firmwares. It's as simple as it gets. Go to psgroove.com, you'll find out everything you need to know there. I'm not putting links and getting wrong and things like that, you know, but everything's there. Everything, just go and have a look, but most importantly, read what it tells you, follow the instructions to the letter, and you shouldn't have any problems. And within what, 15 minutes you could be playing backups, you know what I mean. Obviously you won't be able to get them on that quick unless you've nicked one of your mates and you rip it off the original disc, because it'll take you longer to download it than that. But you know what I mean, the principle's there. Within 15 minutes I had it jailbroken, I had the backup loaders on, I had the emulator on, I had some games on even, within 15 minutes. So it is that quick, guys. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you soon on the next video. Like I say, when I'll take some video on the telly and that, and you can actually see it running. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Catch you next time.